You,
Well, you want to get going? We'll let Dave jump in, or how do you guys want to do with this?
It looks like Dave's here.
Huh?
It looks
Okay.
like David is here.
Oh, just making, here they are now. Hi, Meg.
Hi, how are you?
Living the dream.
That's always good.
Have you guys heard from Ed? Meg?
No. I know Chuck did. I did about a week ago to ask
He's
him
all right, right?
about
He's
his
good?
health. Yeah, everything's fine.
Has he decided if he's gonna have that surgery?
I haven't even talked to him because I figured he was probably tired of people asking him how his health
Yeah.
was doing. So,
Yeah.
so every time I talk to him now, I just talk to him about work, ask him how it's going over there. So I don't know if he plans on doing the surgery or not.
Did that P-Town failure affect them?
No, not at all.
You guys don't have Provincetown, do you? Veolia?
No, we don't. I don't know who does, but no, we don't.
Are we waiting for somebody else or are we ready to start?
I'm waiting for Dave. We can start and just let Dave catch up.
David's on.
Oh, I didn't see him. Okay. Okay, I'd like to open this, I'd make a motion, to open the meeting.
motion,
Do I have a second?
Second,
Mr. DeRoss, how you vote?
yes.
Ms. Valley?
yes.
And Mr. Hession's a yes, unanimous. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's Rockland Sewer Commission meeting. It's an open meeting being broadcast live on youtube.com and being recorded by WRPS. Tonight's meeting agenda is going to be fairly long, so minutes for the previous meetings. Robin?
Yeah, I gave those to you guys May 19th and June 16th.
We are just waiting on July, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we're all caught up. We voted them last meeting, correct?
You did not vote May 19th and June 16th.
Okay.
No.
Did you, ladies and gentlemen, Dan, did you, Sherry, read those minutes?
Yeah,
No? Okay,
No, I
then we'll put that off to next month. Abatements, Robin, you have any abatements?
I do not.
Okay, with that, I'd like to have the representatives for 320 Concord Street, Mr. Petrosi and Mr. Shoemaker, I take it.
good evening, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for having me. This is Lou Petrosi from Wall Street Development Corp. We're here regarding the project we proposed at 320 Concord Street, which is a 4-unit project approved under Mass Chapter 40B. Last time this matter was before the commission was back in May, I believe, and the commission had several questions and wanted additional information regarding the proposed sewer connection for the project. And since that time, our engineer, Eric Shoemaker from McKenzie Engineering, and Dave Taylor, we had a nice meeting a few weeks back, and we, I think, come up with a proposal that's agreeable or acceptable to the sewer department, and we just are here tonight to discuss that and hopefully get the blessings of the commission to move the project forward. So I have with me tonight Eric Shoemaker, who can discuss that, unless you'd like to hear from Dave Taylor first to review what we have come up with.
Why don't we hear from Dave first? Dave, are you satisfied that it meet everything?
Yeah, I think we talked about it earlier in one of the other meetings. We touched base on it. They adjusted the manhole. I know there was discussion on manhole within the center line, cutting into the 30-inch pipe. We came up with the idea that obviously that would not work for the town. One, that would require a doghouse. The format of that cut on a 30-inch pipe would be a 12 or 15 foot cut. So a manhole would be substantial, and with the other infrastructure that's out there, you would have a water line that would run through it or a gas line. So obviously that wouldn't work on Concord Street. So the solution was to do a manhole off the road format onto the side of the property, which I think you saw on the plan. If you look at the plan, it is to the right or to the east of the driveway on the plan. And what that would do is they adjusted the invert's height per our last discussion, or per our last meeting, where the most flow, the invert would be adjusted to the most flow coming from the multi-units, and then that would be dropped in from the single family dwelling on the right-hand side, which is existing. So it's a full manhole. It's not a doghouse. So, we think it's a better solution. Obviously, where we're having infiltration and inflow problems, this would be a sealed unit. So, I think it's a better solution as far as that. They agreed on the plan. Eric made the notations. Obviously, you would have to do a concrete vault over where the water crosses over the sewer, per regulations or ordinance, that 10 feet separation are required with the concrete. So they made that adjustment as well. So, after our discussion, obviously, then that is up to the board at that point. So
It does not impact the Wongs in any form, shape. Well, I think they're the Wongs at 330 or 323. It doesn't affect the abutters.
are you talking about the house that's adjacent to the right?
Yes.
No, it wouldn't. So like we made those modifications, the one that I thought would be an issue is originally the inverts were even, and obviously their invert would be higher coming in. Eric made the adjustments where the most flow or the trough would be adjusted. So the larger flow amount would be coming from the 4 units as opposed to the single family. So that, and keep in mind too, that is, they have a grinder station on site. So you'd just be dealing with, liquid affluent at that point coming into the manhole. So.
Well, that answered all my concerns for that. Sherry, did you have any?
My question was also how the house next door at 330 was impacted, and I think you answered that.
Dan, how about you?
You've answered all my questions.
Dave, you don't have any other concerns with this, correct?
No, I think the meeting went well. Eric made and Lou was in agreement, on all the adjustments, and I think it's a good case scenario. Won't impact the abutter at all. It'll, the flow, it'll act as you got a higher flow over to the other units. It'll act as a vacuum, and theirs is more or less a higher invert coming into that. So that in sealed manhole, I think, are great modifications for that project. So.
That's good. Mr. Stroza, you do realize that we do have a moratorium on, and until we remove some I&I per an EPA order, we cannot allow you to connect right now. So you'd be put on a waiting list.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're aware of the restriction, the moratorium, and all we can ask is that we get on the list as an active project, ready to we're shovel ready, basically. We're looking to probably start construction in the spring. So, it would be our hope that we wouldn't be standing behind a much larger project that was still going through permitting and not ready for construction.
As long as you understand that, I have no problem make a motion that we approve this 320 Concord Street project to go be number 1 on the waiting list pending the removal of the I&I. I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. DeRoss, how do you vote for connection?
Yes.
Ms. Valley,
Yes.
And Mr. Hazard's a yes, that is unanimous. And as we explained, Mr. Trotsey, as soon as we can remove that INI, you're number one on the waiting list to connect.
That would be great. Thank you for your consideration, and we look forward to working with the town.
Thank you very much for your consideration and working that out with Dave. I appreciate that.
Great. Thanks, Dave.
Yep, you guys.
Eric, we
Thanks,
don't want to
Dave.
forget you. Thank you.
Thank
too.
you. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Night.
commission members. Have a good night.
Nice work, Eric.
Didn't do much tonight.
Thanks.
Okay, with that done, we'll move to the next item on continuation of old business was the working session for the commissioners.
Hey, Chuck, if
sorry, go
one
ahead,
second, on that project too, that's also obviously pending the other approvals of the town.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
long as they know that we're not gonna,
yeah.
technically not in their way, but until we can get that going. They've already been through Concom and all that, haven't they?
Yeah, I think there's still some, issues with, some other boards, so.
Water?
Yeah, I think obviously water is an issue, but I think even on the planning side too, so.
Oh, okay.
And everything, so obviously it's pending, other approvals by everybody else, so.
No, okay, as long as we're clean, I have no problem with it. My only concern on that was that doghouse.
Yeah,
And, I didn't want to see the Wongs, hurt by it. Okay.
David.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. The
David,
working sessions with the commissioners, those are ongoing. We still meet once a week for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Robin was right about the minutes, so we approved those minutes. And how do you want to handle them, Robin? Just get them to you?
Yeah, if you approve the minutes, if you could get them to me along with the list of attendees, I can get them posted.
Okay. And Sherry, I owe you 2 handouts and I'll get them to you tomorrow morning. So
Yes,
you
as
can
soon
have
as I
one
get
big
those,
package to get to Robin.
then I can start sending them to Robin. Yep.
The next item is the EPA action response. Mr. Clifford, Mr. Taylor, and Mr. Lapp put together a plan. The only questions I have is on item I1, plan and schedule implement the work described in the summary of the 2021. When it's going out, we have to get the drawings for that. ACOM, we didn't accept that. We voted to go out to get 5 bids. Are we going to do that 5 bids for that? And I have something else I want to add to that.
oh, for the bid process, we got 1 so far, but there's not a lot of companies that just deal with I&I, so.
Okay,
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
I don't think we're gonna be able to get 5.
Okay, what I would like to do is throw Veolia in the mix, and I'll explain why. Is I had talked to them about the project manager's position and of course monitoring them. The stuff on that punch list. They say they do that, so maybe give them an opportunity to bid on it as well. To Veolia. I guess the guy's name is Mr. John Oatley. He's the vice president. Rick could probably give you his contact info.
You have to check into that too, Chuck, because you might have a conflict of interest where they are managing company for the obviously the wastewater treatment plant. Because they're under contract with the town.
Okay, we could run that by Chris Kenny.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just throwing it out there.
No, that I never
Cover
thought of
both.
that. The
Yeah.
only reason I was saying, if they were gonna just long-term say they did get that, and we were looking at to be project managed for a bunch of other stuff, it would fit in very nicely, because that
Right.
is the biggest punch we have, but I'll touch base with Chris on that.
Yep.
So David, how many companies do we have?
I have 2 so far.
Who are they?
Weston Sampson and AECom.
Does Fussin' O'Neill or Ty and Bond do that?
I reached out to the top I&I company, so that's why I went with those ones, so.
How many did you contact?
3 so far,
So if we can get Veolia, that'd be 4.
correct.
All right. Now, would you see any problems meeting that October 14th? When did you tell them you wanted the bids by?
Your date that you had on there, October. So I think we originally were thinking September, but obviously that's not gonna happen.
Okay, so see if that can happen the 14th. I'll check with Chris tomorrow on Veolia. When we get down further in this plan, one of the other questions I had was on item 2E, that ARPA fund. They mentioned that they'd supplement. Doesn't that have to go through town meeting or something of that nature?
No. No, ARPA funds don't.
Okay, so the way I'm reading this, we'll commit up to 500 grand from the America to supplement development fees. In its addition, that 515 that they mentioned, that's to develop the boiler and the piping.
That's correct.
Huh?
Yes, yeah, there's 315 for the digester boiler, and we earmarked roughly 200 for the piping, but I don't think it's gonna be enough, so.
So we'll get the digester boiler in that 500,000 as well.
The 500,000 committed to the I&I by the town.
Okay, and item 3, Weston Sampson develop an I&I control plan. Is that part of this, or is that just in addition to?
That's in addition to, but it's also part of the NIPD's. We've never had an I&I control
Right.
plan, right? So we needed to be proactive and implement one.
But that's been discussed in the past.
It's been discussed, but we've never had a plan set.
No,
Yes,
no,
yes,
but-
yes, that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
yes, yes,
we have talked about going to them for that I&I.
right.
But now this plan has been worked into the EPA order. Based on
Correct.
Mr. Clifford's letter.
Yes,
But that I&I plan, what has been required all along, so. It's part
It
of
has.
the permit.
right.
Okay.
Okay, what I think,
Can I ask a question on that I&I control plan?
Mhm.
Because it talks about meters. Do we know
That would be a phase of it.
who pays or owns for those meters?
Who pays or owns those? Well,
Mhm.
you have options to do that. I mean, myself, I would probably hire a company to do the metering and then have them own it and assume the liability, quantify the front, quantify the back. Those meters can cost up to 15,000 a piece. And we don't have anybody in-house that would monitor or assume the liability. Those meters could fall into a invert, get stuck in a pipe. We don't have the personnel right now. It's Robin who's administrative, and then myself. So to do that, it would be cheaper in the long run to hire a company to do that. Keep in mind, those meters, they don't stay on year round either. So you want to do high
Right.
flows and then they come back and they do a different flow. So,
Right. Okay, thanks.
yep.
Dan, do you have any questions? So what I'd like to do
No, I
is
have no questions.
what I'd like to do is go through this one more time and probably vote on it at our next working session. Charlie, you got any concern on that?
Go through which?
I want to go through this order one more time.
Okay,
The other thing I do want to make sure is that everyone is aware of that they did notify us prior to this that we are going to be fined for the violations. We don't know that amount yet. But that's pending. That's nothing to do with this. Now, as far as the CWMP, David and I spoke with the EPA, Mass DEP, and Wright Pierce last week. I got an email from them today saying they shouldn't have a problem. Dave, have you any more?
No, I had a meeting with them today as well in regards to the CWMP and then also the requirements that are due September 1st. So they're working on that. I think you were on that email
Yeah.
today from them. Yeah.
So they don't see it. They don't see a problem meeting that deadline, do you?
No, I told them we needed it at least a week before so we could review it. So if we could have that by the end of this week, beginning of next week. So we could review it, make adjustments, and then have that be a little bit more proactive and have that over to the attorneys to send to the EPA next, within a week. So
I'd like to see that in hand by Friday or Monday at the latest.
that's what we talked about. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I have on that. Anyone else have anything else on that? Superintendent search. We've received 7 resumes. We went through them today, and I believe we came up with 3, maybe 4 we want to look at. And Dan and Sherry, you're going to give me dates of availability, either the week of the 29th or the week of the 5th, Labor Day week, for interviews on public. There'll be open public meeting interviews. I'm looking to have them at on WRPS Studio. They'll be in the evening because every one of the candidates are working. So I'll let Stacy know we've assigned numbers to each name. So for confidentiality purpose. So what is the best week for the 2 of you?
I'm free all week, August 29th.
And if it comes to the week of the 5th, 6th, are you free that week?
I'm not free on the 7th, that Wednesday.
Okay. Dan, what's your schedule look like? Unmute yourself. Dan, you're muted.
I'm pretty well clear. I'm all set any night.
Okay.
Except for over Labor Day, Friday on, I'm
Yeah,
busy.
you're out that Friday. It's the Friday and Monday.
Friday and Monday, yeah. I'm going to a wedding.
Okay, I'll contact Stacy first thing in the morning, see if she could reach out to them, give them a choice of that week and the available dates, and I'd like to do them all in one night, if possible. Either of you have a problem with that?
No, that sounds good.
Ordinance modification. We had voted on our changes. I spoke with Attorney Galvin that night about how does he want to handle that? The ordinance was approved at a town meeting on May of 2011. So I don't know if we can just avoid that and go with rules and regulations of how that works. I had asked him back in the beginning of July to help us out and you know, how we should proceed with that. I haven't heard back from him yet. I sent him an email last Thursday reminding him, and another one Sunday. I still have not heard, so that's where that stands. Sherry came up with a form for, I want to jump over that I to go to that contract approval. Just a checklist. Do you want to update? You want to bring that up, Sherry? Because we're going to have to make that. Just reference that document as part of the ordinance, so, or rails and regs, however it goes.
So what I've come up with is a form that just pretty much spells out to act as a cover sheet on a project, and it spells out all the details that are pertinent, I&I numbers, fees, and so forth. And we're going to add that to the rules and regulations, or once we've determined that we're in a position to do that.
Did you
Dave,
email Dave a copy?
Did you get a copy of that, David?
I did, yes.
Okay, great.
Today.
So what we'd like to do is give it a test run for these 2 projects, 320 Concord and 365 Concord. And that will give us some time to iron out any kinks that you might find. And then we can put it into the rules and regs.
Sure, I'll leave you up that to work it out with Dave, how you want to work that in.
Okay.
And again, I have not heard from Bob Galvin. I'll try him again tomorrow. I&I account update. Sherry, you have something on that?
So the I&I accounts are looking fairly good. We have 3 projects that, one, we've already received the funds, 2 others that we're expecting. But what I do have is that one of the accounts on Primrose. Dave, we need to talk about the fee matrix and what you may have provided. Did you provide them anything in writing?
The fees?
Yeah,
Yes, you guys got
Okay,
a copy of that from Primrose.
okay, because I picked up a copy from the package off the table and it's a little confusing. I
Okay.
believe we need to look at that. I
Okay,
think the fees need to be recalculated.
you mean in more or less?
Less,
Well, I don't think you want to go less.
well,
Well, if you remember at that meeting, we were told we had to quote them the fees from when they applied. That
No.
was per Bob Galvin.
No, Bob said we could apply the fees as we saw fit.
That's not what he told us in June. We voted on it in June. Plus, the other fact is we never talked about those fees. We never voted on, how can we charge one person one set of fees and then another? They're not in the schedule.
We haven't charged anybody any fees. We haven't had a project in a year. So this was the first project in since when?
But we had fees established for 2021. And that's
So
when they
you-
applied in May of 2021, March of 2021. The last conversation Bob had with us is that, and even at that executive session, because I'm sure, I believe you verified that.
it's in a June open session that we voted on it.
So you want me to go back to a developer after they agree to paying the fees and tell them they can pay less?
Well, we voted on it. Those fees that you quoted them were never discussed. You just gave them the fees and they said, yes. We never voted on them. How can we quote a fee schedule that's not published?
You had the fees, you've had the fee schedules in front of you since I did the fee schedules that I forwarded you.
You forwarded us a letter in April suggesting a new fee makeup. We never discussed it because we didn't see the urgency. We had the EPA thing come in, then we had the moratorium. We had the EPA thing come in and we didn't see a rush where there was a moratorium.
So part of the,
You look at on the website, it's got a fee schedule for 2020, July of 2021. They applied in March of 2021. So we got to quote them the fees that are on that schedule for July of 2021.
you never voted on what you wanted the fees to be in any meeting.
I think we voted in June after that executive session.
No,
Excuse me, may I speak? When you voted on the project, there was no dollar value mentioned. In every project before that, that's been voted on by the board, the amount of the fees is always in the minutes, and it wasn't mentioned in that meeting.
the problem is, like I've said before, if you go less than that amount, then we do not have enough to recover the I&I. And that's on what you quoted from the AECom. Per gallon, it's not enough to cover that.
That is not what we were told at that executive session.
You're
listen
not
to the
understanding the I&I part. If we go to, so you want to charge them less, so the residents would have to make up the difference of that?
No, I want to charge them what we scheduled, what the fees that are voted on that are on the website. I don't want to create fees. How can we do that?
What fees on the website? Which ones are you talking about?
$20 a gallon.
How much?
$20 a gallon.
That's not enough to cover. It's not enough to cover the I&I. We've talked about this at the last 4 or 5 meetings.
I know
That's
that,
not
but
enough to
David,
cover it.
they applied in March of 2021.
It doesn't matter when they apply. It matters when you approve it. And then you can make the adjustments to the fee schedules at that point. There was no set fee schedule when they applied. None. So my question is to you, do you want me to go back to the developer on something that you want to approve for a less amount and I go to the developer for it?
I
If
want
you want to make that and then not have enough money to actually cover the I&I work, we can do
want to
that.
hear from Bob Galvin when he told us we had to quote him the fees back from March 21st, the fees that were in place at the time. If he says, yes, we can get higher fees and he's the attorney, great, that's his neck.
You're talking about the fee schedule that I worked out with the developer before the meeting. So that was the fee schedule the developer agreed to before the meeting, not
Bob?
after the meeting.
Bob told us we had to assess the fees of when he applied. That was per Bob Galvin.
That's not what he said. That's not what he
Is
said.
that what he said, or am I mistaken?
I thought that's what he said because I know that as a group, the commissioners voted on that.
That's not what he said. He said agreed upon fees is what, if you could look back at that.
All right.
Maybe I'm wrong. Then I'll go back to the developer and say, we don't care if we get enough money to actually do the I&I work.
Did you
We'll have the
provide-
residents pay for it.
No,
We'll go back.
that's not the way to put it. All I want to do is do it legal.
That's exactly
right.
how you're putting it.
I want to do it legal and I want to do it right. We have a fee schedule published that was July 21. He told us very clearly that we had to assess the fees of when he applied,
That's
period.
not correct. That's not true.
Okay, I will double check with him.
Okay.
All right.
And if he says that we have to go back to the 21st, fine. He'll give it to us in writing and I'll charge that.
So you want me to
We
go back?
voted on that. We voted on that in June, right after that executive session on the 6th, based on what he told us at that executive session. Sherry, do you still have the tapes of that?
I'm looking, yeah, I'll have to look at it.
No, I just want to be clear. So you want me to go back to the developer?
Not
and
yet.
charge him
I want to
more?
talk to Galvin.
We
Okay.
want to make sure that we have the correct information.
Which
Chuck.
information? If you guys have had it, you know exactly what they paid. So why is this coming about now?
Because
Chuck, do you
that's
mind if I speak? I have what I put in the minutes for the motion. And that was in June. It didn't get approved because you just guys put it off until next month, but the motion made by Chuck Hession, second by Dan DeRoss, to approve the Primrose School with the fees that were in place at the time of the application and upon full payment of those fees. That's what was approved. And the time of the application is when they come to the table and you guys make the vote, because we don't have an actual paper application. So before, when we discussed it, was when they were at the table. So that was the wording of the motion.
they got delayed a year because we didn't see the letter requesting the hearing. Period. So let Galvin rule on.
I don't understand why you want to be friends with every developer. You want.
I don't want to be friends with every.
You are right
I wanna
now.
be fair.
That's exactly what you're doing.
I
Not
wanna be
enough.
fair.
It's not enough to cover the I&I work. So let's screw the residents over.
I'm not
No,
supporting the
Dave.
residents, Dave.
That's exactly what you're doing here because you don't understand how I&I works. Honestly, you don't.
We have a fee
David,
schedule, correct?
David, you're talking two different things.
I'm not.
One is how much I&I remediation costs. And we can't set a fee schedule until we get these quotes to find out how much it's going to cost. What we're talking about is what was provided, what information was provided to the developer, and was it correct? I don't recall seeing a fee matrix from Primrose. I know I asked for it several times, but I didn't see it.
Was that in that preliminary package? Was that in the preliminary package? Hello?
Who are you asking?
Anyway, we got a preliminary package back in,
Are you referring
March
to
of this year.
Form K from 2020 or what are you referring to?
That's what I'm referring to, because
You
at
guys
the
have seen
point-
you've seen every fee matrix that you've ever asked for.
Okay, if that's the case, then they were quoted something like 62 on that Form K.
We don't typically put fees in the Form K.
There should be some document of the fees somewhere.
You have, it's the fee matrix that we came up with.
And did
I
you
have it right
provide,
here. I have it right here, preliminary. 41,000 for development, 750 permit, 20,500 remediation, total 62,250. And this was in the preliminary package that you sent on March 30th, 2022. And again, that is signed by you on August 18th of 2020.
2020. That
And
was
if you recall,
preliminary.
They put in that letter March of 21, and we never saw that. So
And since
technically,
then,
they would have been voted on if they had put that in.
And since then, the EPA says we have to get the 11-1 ratio. That is not enough to cover that. Not enough.
After they were approved. Technically, they were approved in 2021. That's what that whole thing was, so we didn't get sued. We voted to approve them.
You just voted on Primrose a few months ago. What are you talking about?
We were told we had to accept Primrose because they applied in March 24th of 2021 requesting a hearing. We never saw that letter, so they never had the hearing. So we had to go back so the town wouldn't be sued and approve them because that letter got lost. That is why we were told that we had to assess them the fees for when they applied.
So my question is to you.
They would have been approved by July 1 of 2021.
I'm sure they'll be psyched to pay less. Yeah, that would be perfect.
Well,
We'll just come up with the extra I-9 money. That's a great
David,
plan.
don't push it because you shouldn't have sat on that letter a year.
You should be careful because I could talk about a few letters that you sent out. So be very careful.
We tried to accommodate them.
I think this is done.
Up until October.
Chuck,
when
we're done. I'll reach out to him.
I
That's
will
what-
talk to
David,
Bob Galvin
no.
tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
David, please don't take any action until we've had a chance to talk. to
You guys just tell me what you want to do. And then
I
I'll
want
I'm going
you
to talk to Galvin tomorrow and let him
Yeah.
iron it out.
do that.
Don't do anything until we hear back. from-
I'll be fine. I'm fine. I won't do anything. Okay?
Thank
You're
you.
fine.
Thank you.
Relax. Good luck.
Are you still got any more on I&I?
Nope, we're done. Chuck, you're on mute.
Dave, you're on for upcoming superintendent update.
I forwarded you guys the project list that you guys wanted to. So is there anything you would like to go over on that?
No, I didn't see any. What about the digester? Where do we stand on that?
We're gonna have to put out a additional bid for the gas piping. The balance on that, you can see the digester work implementation was $315. The balance right now is $177. They're waiting for a couple of appliances and they'll start that job back up.
Dave, what do you mean the balance? Is that balance owed or funds available?
That's a balance available for the digester boiler.
Thank you.
Nothing else?
No, that's it, unless there's something you want to go over on that project list. I know we're close to getting that grant from Guardian Group on the rooftop units. So as soon as that gets finalized, I'll send that over to the board. Oh, the IPP audit we had last week with Justin Pimpere of the EPA in regards to discharges and also grease traps. So he went over that. We forwarded him over the audit paperwork. We have another small meeting with him next week. He's gonna show me how to do inspectional services at dentist offices and a couple of the low discharge facilities. And then we'll wrap that up and then he'll send over a finalization on the audit. And then the affluent meter, they're supposed to start that in about 2 to 3 weeks. That went out to Teledyne ISCO. They were the lowest bidder. So that affluent meter should be up and going in about a month. So
Megan, I don't know if you're going to do the sludge update or is Dave or?
No, I got it.
Okay. Well, we'll start
So
with the MOR for the month of July.
the MOR was 1.739 and the rolling average was 2.810. The NIPT's phosphorus updates, the facility has met the 0.01 milligrams per liter for the month of July, bringing the average to 0.07. And the sludge status due to Synagro meeting or limiting how many dumpsters we're able to actually send out. We were only able to send out 4 last month. So normally it's about 7. So we're hoping, we were able to send 2 out this week. So I'm hoping we're gonna start getting back on track with them. And repair maintenance projects, there's nothing for the month of July. Boiler status update, it's still on track. And for the staffing, we just hired a new employee starting August 1st. He's working out very well. And we just posted for another position. So.
Just a question on the sludge. Are we storing it or?
So
Are we
South Shore
pressing
is sending it. So South Shore is picking it up. We don't know what they're doing with it.
Okay.
So, but no, we are not storing it at the facility. So once they pick it up, it's them, it's on them. So they're picking it up. As far as we know, they're able to send it to Synagro or get it over to them. We don't know how long it's been sitting there on their facility, but yeah, as far as we're concerned, they haul it and it's off of out of our facility. So it's their responsibility after that.
Do they charge us for storing?
No,
We don't have to pay for that?
no.
Is that hazardous waste?
What?
Is that hazardous waste?
No.
No, well,
Is Synagro, they're not gonna have another shutdown. They're all done with their shutdown.
So they had, their shutdown was last week.
Okay.
And I didn't add that to it because that was the month of August, but yeah, their shutdown was last week. So we didn't have, they stored it there during the shutdown, but we only had 1 dumpster that went out last week. So normally we have 2. So we're hoping Synagro will start taking our dumpsters. Right now it's just 1 a week. So we're hoping they go back to 2 a week.
Yeah. How's this dry weather affecting the phosphorus going? Is it helping dropping it or?
It could be. We're still doing tests on it. We were able to reduce the phosphorus, the ferric, and our number is still 0.01. So we're still meeting the 0.01 for our testing, which is great. So yeah, we're just monitoring it and making sure. It could be. We don't know until we get a high flow to actually compare. We really don't know.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, with that, I'll open up a public, any questions. Please restrict the comments to the evening's material only or suggest items for our next discussion. Anybody with any questions? No?
Yes,
Huh?
I do.
Oh, Mary.
I do. A couple
Just
of
state
them.
your name and number.
Mary Parsons, 754 Union Street. I don't know why this isn't switching. Oh, hold on. One of my questions is, you said that the ordinance modification was, the ordinance itself was voted at the 2011 town meeting.
Yes, May of 2011.
Okay, you can't change that unless you go back to town meeting to change it.
Oh, that's one of the questions they have to.
So
Bob.
you would have to do rules and regulations outside of that ordinance.
Well, that's what we want to go to, but I wanted Bob to outline the steps we should take to be in sync with the ordinance. At one time, I was told that what did not go to a town meeting, but that was wrong. That information was wrong. It did go to town meeting. So then I texted Bob how he explained how to prove, how we should proceed. And I just said, give us something in writing so we know what to do. And that's what.
No, actually, I know this for a fact. You have to, it's been voted on at town meeting and only town meeting can vote any changes to it. So he should be answering that way.
Okay, well, I'll text, I gotta talk to him anyway. I'll talk to him on that anyway as well.
And my next question is more of a statement. What were the fees when John Laughlin, Walter Simmons, and Ron Savicki were the water commissioners? Because that March 2021 Primrose thing, that goes back to when they were there.
No, we had voted a fee increase prior to that. I believe it was that December. I'd have to go back, that we went up to, Robin, help me out. We went up on the fees for units or something of that nature. That's what we changed. We went up on the fees per unit.
July 21.
That was the second one, but the first one Mary, I think, is referring to was in 20. John,
2021, March of 2021. What were the fees then?
I believe it was $10 a gallon. I'd have to look back, Mary. I can't say off the top of my head.
And that's where, and that was the Primrose application time. So that's what they'd be charged.
That's what I want Galvin to tell us.
The issue is there was never an application. We still don't have an application. We've been having a lot of discussions about that. And historically.
There was a letter,
it's-
a March 2021 letter.
Yes, that they requested a hearing.
Right. And the sewer commissioners are the only ones that make decisions. And that's who's authorized to make the decisions.
What I want is I want something from Galvin in writing, so there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And how long have you been waiting?
Dave and I
Writing?
say we heard two different things evidently. And I want to
But
make
how-
sure
Waiting,
before I quote them.
because you shouldn't have to wait that long for an answer.
Well, I'll talk to Bob. I'll call him tonight. If not, I'll call him tomorrow morning.
And are you taking votes at a working session? Did I hear correctly?
We took, well, only on, like, for example, on the ones we wanted to hear, applicants we wanted to call in for an interview.
But that you shouldn't be doing that at a working session. That should be done at your meeting.
All we
So
did,
that the
all we
public
did
can
is,
see
all
all
we
of it.
did was sort out the applications from people who had qualifications that we wanted to talk to, that we agreed on who we want to talk to. That's all that
But
was.
that should be done at a meeting.
Okay, my wrong. That was my fault. I thought we could just go through the 7 applications, agree which ones we wanted to talk to. That we did not call them in. The interviews are going to be an open session in public meeting.
Right, but you know what? Can't you decide that anyway without a vote? Like, does that even require a vote? Like, you can do that and decide who you want to see at a working session. It's just an agreement.
That's the way I did it, but I called it a vote. Is this, we agreed on who we want to see? It was yes.
Well, you probably need to vote on it so that it's very clear to everyone that you're calling them in, because apparently it seems there are a lot of unclear things and a lot of things that who's in charge. The sewer commissioners are in charge. There shouldn't be any arguing back and forth and no threats back and forth.
I don't think there is any argument there, Mary. I think what we have now
I
is
witnessed
a
an
different
argument tonight,
It's a different.
and I witnessed the threats from the interim superintendent, which should not be happening.
I didn't
Because
think
that's
that-
not the person in charge. The sewer commissioners are the people in charge.
Thank you for clarifying that, Mary.
Any other questions?
Yeah, on the Plymouth County is the corrective action, the EPA corrective action response. And can we see what was actually, the EPA actually accepted? And is that an okay coming from Plymouth County? Is the money coming from the Plymouth County ARPA, or is it coming from a different ARPA fund?
I have no idea. I have no
I'd
idea.
have to concede to Jen Constable. She's been helping me with the grant status of that, so. I would
I don't
believe
think
it.
we've heard an approval on that anyway, Mary, yet.
No, I believe it's Plymouth County. I
There's
think
been no approval.
I believe it's Plymouth County, so.
Okay,
I would have
so
to
what
get
happens if Plymouth County doesn't give an approval?
I believe I would have to get verification from Jen on that.
Is there a list of repair maintenance projects? Is there an actual list that people can see what needs to be repaired at the treatment plant?
We haven't generated what's got to be repaired at the treatment plant yet. That was identified in the right PS. Right now, we're focused on the collection system.
Okay.
And
Okay, I'm done.
anybody else? With that, I'll take a motion to close tonight's meeting.
Second it.
All in favor? Mr. DeRoss,
Aye.
Ms. Valley,
Yes.
Mr. Heffer's a yes, that is unanimous. Thank you, everyone, for tonight. And next working session will be next Wednesday, if anyone wants to attend. Good night.
Good
Good night.
Hmm.